Hey there and welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where in this video, the second part of our Most Wanted series, we're counting down 10 more indie games we're most excited about that would wager you'll also be wanting to take a close look at them too. Some will launch this year, others perhaps not until 2021. Let's crack on, and in no real order of preference, we have Unto the End. This one's under production by the wife and husband team of Two Ton Studios based out of California. First announced back in 2017, it's expected to come out this year onto PC via Steam, with it also coming, we believe, to all of the usual consoles, as well as to the magnificent Xbox Game Pass offering. What surprised me most about the demo was how challenging, subtle and nuanced the combat plays out, all within this 2D adventure where you play as a father searching for his family, all within a relentless and harrowing environment. I'd perhaps expected, well, somewhat unfairly, a button-mashing kind of thing, although such a view was pretty much instantaneously banished as soon as one of the folks on the booth talked me through the initial stages and how I should think about approaching certain enemies. I went into this one thinking I was going to attack everything that I saw, and that's just not the case. Early on, I recall being offered the suggestion that going after one of the larger characters the way I was thinking about, well, it might not have been the best idea, and yes, in keeping my sword fully sheathed, rather than getting cut up to pieces that I later witnessed happening to others, the troll thing became passive and offered me a gift. As for the rest of the time I spent playing, well, I suspect some of the action might take inspiration from the recent Sekiro. The combat has you needing to understand and study what your opponents are up to. Again, this is no button masher. You can block and counter, as can the enemies to your attacks as well. It's also shaping up to be quite the challenge, and I suspect it won't play out as difficultly as Sekiro was, but I'd wager Unto the End won't be a walk in the park either. This is looking all set to be a cracker, and I'll definitely get it on day one, hopefully when it comes out later in the year. At number 9, and a game I've played a few times over the past 12 months. Each time I found it utterly compelling and captivating. Now it's a tough one to pigeonhole. It's got its heart wrapped up with a music-based detective-driven mechanic that sees you move forward by way of point and click interactions. It has you move through and wander around both 2D and 3D scenes and vignettes. With the demo, well, you play as a trench-coated detective straight out of central casting, and amongst other things, you take a ride on a train, peer into people's windows, and even play down some notes alongside a double bass playing busker. Now, I adore the art style, and while I've only touched the game's surface, the story and its interconnecting narrative feel engaging and, well, just that little bit different, and I'm really so keen to see more of Genesis Noir soon, with it expected possibly in 2020, coming out on Steam and the Xbox One.
I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
You want to guess what it is?
Up at number 8, and one of the most talked about indie games during the whole of the summer of last year. 12 Minutes will see you play as a husband trapped within a 12-minute loop, where you've returned to your home expecting a peaceful evening, with all that going out the window when a policeman kicks in your front door, before... well, I'll leave it there, as any more info which is available elsewhere is, to my mind, just a little bit spoilery. However, what follows is a loop-based sequence where you must figure out how to alter the flow of events, with each loop beginning at the same point. There's no doubting the cinematic nature of 12 Minutes from its design and score, easily being recognisable to something that Stanley Kubrick might have done. Now, this is freely acknowledged by the developer, who cites Christopher Nolan's Memento as a further reference point. 12 Minutes is expected to launch this year, with it coming, we understand, by way of Steam, and also to the Xbox One. Up next, and at number 6, Eastward comes from a small indie studio based out of Shanghai, and sees you play concurrently as an elderly chap called John and as a girl called Sam. You can switch between the two, and by doing so, use their individual skills and abilities to solve puzzles and defeat enemies. From the info we've seen so far and a short 15 or so minute demo, Eastward looks similar to a Zelda type of thing, with it having some of the most impressive pixel art within the genre we've seen for many a year. Saying how gorgeous it looks doesn't really do it justice. Everything from the characters to the backgrounds and objects feel and look so vibrant. And while all of this takes place within a post-end of days environment, the design ideals the developer has worked towards seem to emphasize a warming and not altogether too downtrodden aesthetic. We're really intrigued to see how this all comes together, with Eastward looking likely to come out at a time to be advised this year, at first by way of Steam and the Nintendo Switch. Coming up next at number 6, while Spelunky 2 has been a long time in the works, it does seem somewhat possible we'll be able to get down and explore those caves perhaps later in the year. On the face of things, this sequel to one of the most successful and most loved roguelikes of all time looks set to offer a similar experience to the original, all within a 2D procedurally generated world rammed full of traps and enemies. Well, they'd rather you just left them alone. This one comes with single, local and online co-op play, and so far it looks fantastic. For us, like, well, most of these, this is a day one purchase, and if that's true for you too, let us know down in the comments. Moving on to number 5, another highlight of Microsoft's E3 press event from last year. Way to the Woods is expected out in 2020 on Xbox One and Windows PC. It'll also be out on Xbox Game Pass from launch as well. Mostly developed by a single developer who began work on the game while still in high school, it's a narrative-driven adventure that sees you play as a parent and child deer, with you, well, funnily enough, looking for a way back home to their woods. That's pretty much all we've got to go on with this one so far, although the visuals are gorgeous, particularly the overall environments and animations of the deers. We suspect there's plenty more going on to here under the hood that we're not aware of, and I hope that gets rectified if it pops out sometime later this year. Moving onwards to number 4. The Dark Eye Book of Heroes is based on the popular tabletop RPG, where as could be expected you'll be going on a variety of quests, making your way through countless dungeons and doing all the things you usually get to do in such RPGs. This one's due out any time now, with the Steam homepage listing it as coming out sometime in the spring. The thing that we're most excited about is the co-op multiplayer. Now here you'll be able to tackle such things in partnership with say up to 3 others, each bringing their own skills and specialities, which should create a fun and lively fantasy experience. Of all the RPGs out this year, this is the one we're most looking forward to playing. At number 3, we have Haven, a game we recently played as part of the Steam Spring Festival of Games. Now this one comes from the same team who gave us the mighty but tough as old boots boss battle of Fury, so all of this is very much a step change for them, and what we've seen of it so far, it looks and plays, well, it's really totally captivating. The story revolves around 2 characters who, well, apparently they've escaped from a home world and having arrived on a planet that seems to be devoid of other humans. In a twist to the usual type of thing, Haven is a sci-fi RPG about being in a long-term relationship. The developers have jokingly gone on record to say, a little bit tongue-in-cheekily, it's all about talking, drinking wine together with the odd bit of kissing. Now that's cutting things straight back to the bare bones, because there's plenty more going on in Sable than just these few things. The branching dialogue system seems incredibly well pieced together. The recent demo showed off the couple's conversations, which felt natural and similar to the real chats and discussions folks have with long-time partners, the things left unsaid or hinted at being as important and as implicit as those words we chose and picked. There's also a JRPG combat system for dealing with some of the planet's monsters, who aren't keen to share their bit of the world with you two. Such combat is real-time and turn-based, using on-screen prompts that will be familiar to so many. You can take these monsters on individually, although in keeping with the synergistic nature of much of the game, some of the larger creatures seem to require you to combo and go tag team to better see them away. Haven is coming out this year on PC and consoles, with it being another title that's coming also to the Xbox Game Pass. At number 2 we have Dordogne, a game we've only seen for the first time a week or so ago before this video went out. According to its Steam homepage, it's a narrative-driven adventure game where you play as Mimi, a lady visiting the house of her recently deceased grandmother, who's left her letters and puzzles to solve, and in so doing, Mimi will recall and revisit the summer she spent at the house within this region of France while growing up. The game will be set within present day, where Mimi is 32, but also in the past, where you'll help her as a child in the exploration, puzzle, and various quest work. Now, the trailer is one of the most beautiful and adorable things we've seen in ages. It's just so vivid with its watercolour artwork and deftly smooth animations and countryside images. This is, by definition, well, it's just so very painterly. And while there's no firm release date other than the very opaque 2021 listed on the homepage, as a quick little teaser, this has and will continue to brighten our days. As with all of the games in this list, you can find the links to the Steam or various homepages down in the description. Rounding up this second part of our indie games we're most looking forward to seeing, we have Death Trash. Now, in theory, we shouldn't have to wait too long for this to come out. According to its Steam homepage, it's due out in early access at some point in the first half of the year. It's a post-end-of-the-world action role-playing game that will offer a semi-open world single-player adventure with optional split-screen co-op. It features real-time combat with hand-painted locations and a large cast of characters to meet and fight with. You'll also be able to customize your character and undertake huge numbers of side quests. Now, Death Trash appears super immersive and should make its way out of early access in around 12 months post-launch, although the team at Crafting Legends have been open and honest in saying if it needs longer, they will take all the time needed until they're happy. And you know what? Well, that's just fine with us. And with that, be sure to let us know which games you're most wanting to play down below, and while you're here, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. We're uploading pretty much every single day, and a subscription with the notification bell turned on is the best way of staying up to date with all things Get Indie Gaming. All the best, and see you all here soon for another video.